Hello everybody. I hope you all are doing well. As we near the end of the semester, I would like for us to participate in this final project, and that would be counted as your final exam, where we would look into a real-life case. The case involves a newspaper which is in circulation for a number of years. However, as we see that the increasing cost of production, printing, and also the lack of a platform to collaborate between the student writers, it is becoming increasingly difficult to continue with this printed form of a newspaper. So what we are trying to propose is to use technology, and in our case it would be SharePoint 2016, to create a digital version of this newspaper. What you will find under the weekly schedule is a case describing what the final project is all about, which I just mentioned a little bit. And also you will find a zip file which should have all these individual folders. So you would have a folder on the ads, you would have a folder on the articles, and then you have a folder on the images. And once you open the images, you will find all the images that are being used. On the articles folder, you will find all the articles that are being used. And of course, there's an ad over here, which is also a PDF document. So I have supplied you with all the contents, and your job would be to create this newspaper in a digital format. And I want you all to be able to use the different layouts, and I'm always open for suggestion, but this is how the final print looks like. And your job would be to create a newspaper site like this. Again, doesn't have to be exactly the same, but like this, which can be shared with the students. They would have much quicker of an access. And in cases like this, where you are actually taking information or doing a little of a survey to output the data, you can actually propose a live feedback where you can use this as people would go in and change their views or add to their views. So it could more be like a survey instrument that has been out there live, which kind of gives you the true nature of the questions that you ask. So as I mentioned earlier, it is completely up to your creativity to create something like this, and this is just a layout that we had provided because this is what is in print right now, and have you use the SharePoint tool to create a digital edition of this newspaper. Every single article, every single image, every single little details should be all included in the file. So it is just a matter of utilizing all the contents and creating a digital newspaper that we believe can revitalize this newspaper and be more accessible, and we should be able to increase the viewership of this digital formatted newspaper. as I mentioned earlier, look at all the features that we have. I already mentioned about a live blog or a live survey, which should allow students to be able to take them. Now, remember, your articles, they would not change. So the students would not have the ability to change anything on the article. However, they could take some surveys, the results of which should then be displayed on the digital format. Another aspect of increasing the collaboration and coordination, which is also an important factor in running such a publication, is you would only have a few people, current students who are working as they're displaying their journalism skills, their writing skills, and there are a few people who are actually collecting these articles, writing them, and editing them. So our platform could also be something where while we are preparing for the next edition, this platform could be used among those student writers who can then use the platform and collaborate with others to add to the articles. They can include more student writers. So it could be something where, if there's a link that you would create or there's a site that you can create, that could be passed out in classes or, in clubs where students who are interested in writing an article or participating in this should be able to just go in, write an article, and send it in. It's a very seamless, transparent process where they don't have to fill out a form, they don't have to type something separate. They just type the content in, because you already have tools included like Office that should be available to every single student. So this is how we can use the SharePoint platform and suggest how the current publication could be transformed in a digital format, which should allow it to be reached, which should allow more students to be able to reach it or view it. And at the same time, while we are preparing for the newspaper for the next edition, you could increase the student participation in creating this newspaper. Another factor that we can also look into is the business intelligence that is built in. And I understand that the very last project we talked about, the access is still limited, but it could be something that could be used where you can see students viewing of certain articles, and that should help the publishers or the people who are running the newspaper see or understand the trend of what kind of topics, what kind of articles students are interested in, and plan accordingly to increase those articles in the next edition. So it really becomes also a dynamic process where you can gauge the interest of the students and then change it on the fly in the very next edition. If you still have any questions, feel free to connect with me, but you should have enough materials for completing your final project. Apart from creating a site, which you are going to be sharing, I also want you to write a one-page report following the proper use of English, pronunciation, punctuation, grammar, clearly written, articulated. Make sure you do a check for any kind of spell errors, where you discuss the advantages and disadvantages of digital publications, and also suggest some of the improvements. So this is also where I would like to use your comprehension of the tool that we had used, along with the discussion of the cloud technologies that are evolving and coming up, as to how you can take this into the next level. So you can include some of the discussion in your report. Good luck.